The best way to predict your future is to create it, not in the known, but in the unknown. Becoming comfortable in that place is the mastery. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain and put your attention behind? What behaviors do you want to demonstrate in one day, one lifetime? And as you begin to rehearse those behaviors in your mind and you're truly present, the brain does not know the difference between the experience going on out there and the experience going on in here. And now you're installing the neurological hardware to look like the experience has already occurred. And now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it is a map to the future. And so then the last part is the tough part. Can you teach your body emotionally what that future is going to feel like before it's made manifest?
We all live in the present, but often carry emotional baggage into the future. This baggage takes the form of negative emotions, unresolved conflicts, past disappointments, and mental struggles. These things weigh us down and cloud our ability to envision a positive future. How can you expect to create a brighter tomorrow when you're still carrying all the emotional clutter from yesterday? The key to transforming your future lies in freeing yourself from these burdens and fully embracing the present moment, where real change can begin. The future is just a concept in your mind, but the present is where your life unfolds. Dr. Joe Dispenza often reminds us that the future is not something outside of us but a construct in our minds. When we focus too much on what might happen, we forget that the future only comes to us in the form of the present moment. No matter how much we plan for tomorrow, we only have to act now. If we're constantly looking ahead, we risk missing the opportunity to connect with the peace and possibility that's available to us in the here and now. By focusing on the present, we create the conditions for lasting transformation, aligning our thoughts and actions with the life we truly want to build.
Talk about the sweet spot of the generous present moment, because all potentials in the quantum field exist in the present moment. And only when you are present in the moment will you be able to create a new future. Are you with me still? Yes. And you know when someone's present in your life because they're paying attention to you, yes or no?
Yes.
And you know when someone's not present in your life because they're not paying attention to you, yes or no?
Yes.
So then here is that infinite intelligence that's living within you and all around you, the quantum field, the unified field, whatever you want to call it. It's both personal and universal. It's within you and all around you. It's the very intelligence that's keeping your heart beating and digesting your food and organizing all those trillions of functions while you sit here and have a free will. It's the giver of life. But it's also the same intelligence that's creating the ghost nebulae, causing flowers to bloom. It's personal and universal. It's within you and all around you. You with me still?
Yes.
And it is omnipresent. It is always present. Why? Because it is in a realm beyond space and time. In that realm, it is completely present. So then, here it is, right here. And most people's attention is on somebody, someone, something, somewhere, and sometime, and they're never looking towards it. And because all their attention is being put on becoming a somebody, being someone, owning something, living somewhere, being in some future time, they never face off with this intelligence because they're never present with it. And we've done over 8,000 brain scans, and I can tell you without a doubt, that you are at your absolute best when you get beyond yourself. That the moment a person goes from a somebody to a nobody, from a someone to a no one, from something to nothing, from somewhere to nowhere, from some time to no time, that's the moment they take their attention off their outer world and they line up in the present moment, their pure consciousness. And now the observer, who's observing all of this into life, says, oh, you're present with me? Now I can see what you want to create. Are you with me still?
Yes.
So then if you want to hide the divine somewhere for the human being, the best place to hide it is within, because they'll look everywhere else for it except within. So then, in the research we've done, and we've done over 8,000 brain scans, and we know the moment that person is going to get beyond themselves, we can predict it now. We also know that with the moment they start opening their heart, and we've measured this thousands and thousands of times, when they have a coherent brain and a coherent heart, they're changing their whole electromagnetic field. And we start every meditation with an elevated emotion. And as our students begin to create those elevated emotions of their future, we're measuring what it does to their heart. And it turns out their heart all of a sudden becomes very coherent, becomes very organized. And when you live by resentment and anger and frustration and impatience, the heart becomes very incoherent, just like the brain. And so the moments the heart starts to resonate in orderliness, it begins to produce a measurable magnetic field. And that field can be up to 8 meters wide. That's energy, and that energy carries an intent, a message, because all frequency carries information. And all of a sudden, they are beginning to broadcast a whole new signature into the field. And when they do that for an extended period of time, they have an effect on matter. They are now creating their future because they're more energy than matter, more wave, less particle. So then what is the biggest reason people give up on their dreams? They give up on their dreams because of the hormones of stress. And stress is when your body is knocked out of homeostasis. Stress is when your body is knocked out of balance. The stress response is what your body innately does to return itself back to order. So then, if a deer is in the woods and it notices a pack of coyotes, the moment the deer perceives the threat in its external environment, it mobilizes enormous amounts of energy and resources to take care of its body and its environment. Yes or no?
Yes.
So the moment it taps those vital resources, it begins to produce a rush of adrenaline and chemistry to begin to cause it to run, fight, or hide. Yes or no?
Yes.
The sympathetic nervous system switches on, the pupils dilate, salivary juices shut off, digestive enzymes shut off, heart rate increases, respiratory rate increases, blood is sent to the extremities, glucose is mobilized, and now the body is tapping its vital resources in its environment. Yes or no?
Yes.
And that's very adaptive for the short term, because if a deer outruns the coyotes, it goes back to grazing 15 minutes later and returns back to balance. Are you with me still?
Yes.
Now, human beings have those same exact mechanisms. But what if it's not a predator? What if it's your coworker sitting right in the cubicle next to you who you've had some tough experiences in the past with? Would you agree then? Some people turn on that stress response all day long. And if you turn on that stress response and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for disease. Because no organism can live in emergency mode for an extended period of time. Are you with me still?
Yes.
Now, those hormones of stress are very addictive. The body gets a rush of adrenaline, a rush of energy, and the brain becomes aroused. And people become addicted to the emotions of stress, to anger, aggression, hatred, fear, anxiety, worry, guilt, shame, suffering, unworthiness. They're all created from the hormones of stress. So then people begin to use the problems and conditions in their life to reaffirm their addiction to some emotion. They need the bad job. They need the poor relationship. They need difficult circumstances in their life because it makes them feel something. Are you still with me?
Yes.
So if the hormones of stress are highly addictive and people use the conditions in their environment to reaffirm their addiction to those emotions, is it possible they become addicted to the life they don't even like? Yes or no?
Yes.
And listen to this. We can turn on the stress response just by thought alone because of the size of our brain. In other words, out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field, people will select the worst case scenario when they're living in survival. Are you with me still? So then the moment they select that worst case scenario in their future and they begin to emotionally embrace it, their body's believing it's living in that future reality and they're knocking their brain and body out of physiological balance just by thought alone. Yes or no?
Yes.
Or they unfold a past bitter memory that's tattooed in the recesses of their gray matter, and like magic, they bring it to life, and they keep sending the same chemical signals to their body, and their body's literally in the past. Yes or no?
Yes.
So then if you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, and the hormones of stress are highly addictive, is it possible that people become addicted to their own thoughts?
Yes.
Yes or no? So then it's a scientific fact that the long-term effects of the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease. So then, if we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, and those chemicals of stress push the genetic buttons that create disease, then is it possible that your thoughts can make you sick?
Yes.
Yes.
So then if your thoughts could make you sick, is it possible that your thoughts could make you well?
Yes.
Believe it or not, there is tremendous power in setting clear intentions in everything you do. Dr. Joe Dispenza often emphasizes that when you begin your day with a sense of purpose and clarity, you shift from being a passive participant in life to an active creator of your reality. Clear intentions act as a guiding compass, confidently helping you navigate daily decisions, challenges, and opportunities. Without clear intentions, you can easily fall prey to distractions, external pressures, or unplanned circumstances. However, when you are intentional about your actions, you remain focused and aligned with your goals, enabling you to stay on course, even when faced with obstacles. Setting clear intentions allows you to take full control of your day, empowering you to shape your own path. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches that when your thoughts, actions, and decisions are purposeful and aligned with your overarching vision, you begin to create your future rather than letting circumstances dictate it. Instead of being swept away by whatever life throws at you, you respond with resilience and clarity, making choices that move you closer to your desired outcomes. Life becomes less about reacting to circumstances and more about proactively creating your desired life. By consistently setting clear intentions, you strengthen your ability to overcome challenges and build a future that reflects your true desires, not one shaped by random events or external forces.
To truly change is to be greater than your environment, to be greater than the circumstances in your life, to be greater than the conditions in your world. And every great person in history understood this. So then the moment you are being defined by a vision of the future, and that vision is greater than the conditions in your environment, then you would have to agree with me, you're no longer in your past, and you're being greater than the conditions in your environment. Yes or no?
Yes.
So then, if you're not being defined by a vision of the future, and what does it take to be defined by a vision of the future? Number one, a clear intention. Come on, you've all done this already. How many people in this audience got a wild idea? You asked yourself, what would it be like to be wealthy, to be healthy, to be free, to be in a new relationship? The moment you asked that frontal lobe question, all of a sudden the creative center of the brain turned on. And this is what you did. You said, oh my God, let me just be open to an answer. And the frontal lobe has connections to all other parts of the brain. And like a great symphony leader, it begins to call up different networks of neurons that are already mapped in your brain from the things you've learned and things you've experienced in your life. And it seamlessly pieces them together and you get a vision. And that's called intention. You're selecting a new potential in the quantum field that you haven't experienced yet. Yes or no?
Yes.
And to the passionate person, the moment they have that vision, the thought becomes the experience. And the end product of an experience is an emotion. And they start to feel the emotions of their future before it's happened. Are you with me still?
Yes.
And the moment you feel that emotion, you're raising your energy and your body is getting a sampling, a taste of the future. And when you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, you just changed your state of being from living in your past present reality to living in your future present reality. Yes or no?
Yes.
But that's the beginning. Because everybody in this audience sat down and said, okay, what choices do I have to make? Let me review them in my mind. Yes or no?
Yes.
Then you said, what behaviors do I have to demonstrate? What are the things that I have to do? And reviewed those. Yes or no?
Yes.
What goals do I want to accomplish? What experiences await for me? And as you began to write those goals and experiences down, you started to feel more elevated. Yes or no?
Yes.
And then you did something really brilliantly. You wrote down the thoughts that you no longer wanted to think, and you became conscious of those unconscious thoughts that said, I can't, it's too hard, I'll never do it, it didn't work in the past, I'll start tomorrow, I don't feel like it. And you became so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, they would never slip by your awareness unchecked. Yes or no?
Yes.
And then you said, what choices do I have to stay away from? And you began to become conscious of those unconscious choices you've been making all day, and you became so conscious of them that you wouldn't go unconscious again. And then you said, what behaviors and things that I'm going to stay away from and change, and you reviewed them. What experiences do I know that I have to stay away from in my environment, and what emotions will bring me to a lower denominator? And every day you reviewed who you no longer wanted to be and who you did want to be. And over again, you kept doing it. And you know what you did? You gave up your social engagements. You may not have slept in. You might have been a little bit more passionate because you were putting your attention and your energy in the future instead of in the past. Yes or no? Yes. And over you did that, and all of a sudden, you started getting signals in your world. Little synchronicities, little coincidences, little signs that your environment was reflecting back to you that you were on the right path. And then there came a moment where you knew it was going to happen. And you took your foot off the gas. And the moment you did that, you wanted the experience to come to you, and it was no longer about the material thing you created or the wealth. It was the fact that you were able to do it. Yes or no? Yes. And the moment that experience came, you felt the emotion and you felt more whole. And you were more giving and more loving and more caring and more present and more forgiving in your life because you felt better about yourself. Yes or no? Yes. So now here's my question. Think of a time in your life where you were being defined by a vision of the future, you saw it, and it didn't happen. What happened then? You got a clear intention, you got inspired, you felt the elevated emotion, you were in a whole new state of being. And then you know what happened? I'll tell you. You got busy. You didn't have enough time for it. You know, you had people to see and places to go and things to do and parties and dinners. And you got distracted by your external environment. Or you just didn't feel like it one day because you were tired or you had a headache or you had a fight with somebody 3 days ago. And all of that means then is that it was your body, your environment, and time that talked you out of that future. And the moment you shrunk back into mediocrity, you found people in your life that did the same, and people use each other to reaffirm their addiction to suffering and victimization. We call that normal. Yes or no? Yes. So the hardest part about change is not making the same choice as you did the day before. And here's the old self, and here's the new self, and you got to cross a river. And the moment you decide to make a different choice, get ready, because it's going to feel uncomfortable. There's going to be some uncertainty. It's going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to become unpredictable. And the moment you say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to change, and you decide to make those changes, you just stepped into that river. And if the body has been conditioned to be the mind, the servant is now the master. Now the body's running the show. And guess what happens the moment you step into the unknown? The body says, whoa, this doesn't feel right. And it starts sending signals back to the brain. And you start to hear voices in your head. And those voices are, start tomorrow. This doesn't feel right. It's my mother's fault. It's my ex-husband's fault. This is too hard. What's wrong with me? The analytical mind starts going. And it's the same thoughts that you've always had. It's just happening behind the scenes of your awareness. But now you're conscious of them. And if you respond to that same thought as if you always do, the same thought's going to lead to the same choice. The same choice is going to lead to the same behavior. The same behavior is going to create the same experience. The same experience is going to produce the same emotion. And then people say, this feels right. No, it feels familiar. Going from the old self to the new self is the neurological, the biological, the chemical, the hormonal, the genetic death of the old self. And people say to me all the time, Dr. Joe, I'm in the unknown. I can't predict my future. And I always answer them the same way. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Not in the known, but in the unknown. And becoming comfortable in that place is the mastery. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain and put your attention behind? What behaviors do you want to demonstrate in one day, one lifetime? And as you begin to rehearse those behaviors in your mind, and you're truly present, the brain does not know the difference between the experience going on out there and the experience going on in here. And now you're installing the neurological hardware to look like the experience has already occurred. And now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it is a map to the future.
As Abraham Lincoln once said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. This powerful quote underscores the idea that the future is not something that simply happens to us, but rather something we can shape and influence through our actions and decisions. Far too often, people wait for opportunities to come to them or for circumstances to align, but the truth is that we are the architects of our own future. The choices we make today, no matter how small, create the foundation for what lies ahead. Consider the future as a blank canvas, with you as the artist holding the brush. Every decision, every action is a stroke that contributes to the picture you're creating. The journey may not always be easy, and there will undoubtedly be obstacles and mistakes, but these are not reasons to stop. Rather, they are opportunities to learn, adapt, and refine your approach. Mistakes don't define you, they provide the lessons that shape your growth. Each day, you can adjust, rebuild, and move closer to the future you envision. Instead of waiting for the future to unfold by chance, take deliberate steps to shape it actively. Set clear goals, take consistent action, and pursue opportunities that align with your vision. These proactive steps will bring you closer to creating your desired life rather than letting outside forces dictate it. If you found this message compelling and enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with others, subscribe to our channel and turn on post notifications for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching.